You're listening to Grindhouse Courthouse. We put movies on trial to determine whether or not a film has committed too many movie misdemeanors to be considered viewable. Please rise for the honorable judge this episode.
Welcome to Grindhouse Courthouse. The court is now in session. This is Dylan, and I'm your judge for this week, joined by the best juror we could find, Tom. Adam was supposed to be another juror, but he relies on Apple products, which are pieces of garbage and you should never buy. Unless they choose to sponsor us, then you should definitely buy them. Anyway, say hi to the hypothetical people listening to the show, Tom.
Hi, everybody. Did you know that if you upgrade your operating system on your Mac laptop, it'll just turn off your USB ports at random?
I did know that.
No follow-up. I just want everybody to know that. That's all.
On the docket this week was The People vs. Taken 3 starring Liam Neeson, but we couldn't find it on any streaming service right away, so we gave up. Instead, we watched 2018's The Commuter starring Liam Neeson, best known for his role in Taken 3, Rob Roy, and Darkman. The film co-stars the couple from the Conjuring franchise, Vera Farmiga and Jonathan Banks, which explains why the Metro North train that Liam Neeson commutes on turns out to be possessed by a nun that was murdered in the mid-16th century. Ooh, spooky. With a budget of $40 million and a box office of $119 million, The Commuter was a financial success. The movie tells the story of Michael McCauley, an NYPD officer turned insurance agent who commutes every day on the Hudson Line from the suburbs of New York City to Grand Central Terminal. He's abruptly laid off from his job and confines in his Murphy, his ex-partner, who is still on the police force about his financial woes. On the train home, Michael meets a mysterious married woman named Joanne, played by Vera Farmiga, who proposes a hypothetical situation to locate someone named Prin, who has a stolen item. She tells Michael that he will find $25,000 in the bathroom and be paid a further $75,000 when the task is done. He finds the money, but it turns out Michael took on more than he bargained for. Serving as the defense, Dave will argue that Liam Neeson, having defeated the human traffickers, the Sith, and a pack of Timberwolves, has finally confronted his most formidable foe, the 2008 financial crisis. Serving as the prosecution, Matt will argue that your time is better spent with less derivative and more original action movies, such as Taken 3 starring Liam Neeson. We begin with the opening statements from the defense. So Dave, please begin.
So Taken 3 was a great movie. It involves Liam Neeson on a train solving a mystery.
Oh, hold on. Taken 3 is a good movie?
Oh, is that what we watched? Sorry. Commuter, starring Liam Neeson, is a good, great adventure thriller. It's all about one man going through his woes in his day, down on his luck, but he finds an opportunity. And the question is, would you take the same opportunity in life to get that bunch of dollars? Okay, let me restart this. Don't throw me off jumping in that way.
Dave, you got the job. What's the salary? Bunch of dollars.
Dollar bills, yo. Oh, okay.
Will you kill someone for a bunch of dollars?
Taken 3 with Liam Neeson.
No.
Fine, I won't do that then.
No, it's funny. Do it.
Yeah, do it.
We watched a great film this weekend starring Liam Neeson called Taken 3. It's about a man on a train with a big problem.
That's it?
That is inaccurate.
I mean, that's pretty accurate, yeah.
With the exception that you keep pronouncing Liam Neeson's name wrong.
What did I say?
Neeson. Yes, Neeson.
So this film, Taken 3, starring Liam Neeson, is a great thriller stuck inside a train. It involves the big question. Would you do something very sketchy for a bunch of money when you're down in your luck? And the answer is yes, you will.
All right, thanks, Dave. We're going to swing it over to Matt for his opening statements. Matt, why shouldn't we watch this movie?
Well, I mean, we should have even watched just Taken 3. It's essentially the same movie. Like, since he did Taken in, like, what was that, 2007, 2008? 2008. Okay, so since then, he's cranked out about a dozen versions of exactly the same movie, each more tired and strained than the last. There's Taken 2, Taken 3, and then there's all these ones that are like Taken on a plane, Taken on a battleship, Taken on a hot air balloon, Taken on a snowplow.
Taken by wolves.
Taken by wolves. Only one of those movies I just listed is actually made up, and this is my point. This one happens to be on a train, but it just doesn't matter where it is. The Commuter is just a tired, contrived iteration of every movie Liam Neeson has done in the past decade and a half. Don't bother with this garbage. Just you need to just go choose another movie to watch.
Holy fuck! We're
gonna edit that out. We're gonna edit that out.
No, keep it in. Keep it in.
That really derailed us, you guys. We'll never get back on track now.
I'm gonna kill myself. Stop doing this. Okay, I apologize on behalf of this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I understand if you no longer want to listen, but we are going to swing to the first scene, and I think the best way to do that is to have Dave. We're going to have you set up the first scene and explain in argumentative fashion why this is a good movie.
This whole first scene sets up the movie beautifully. So we get to learn more about Liam's character. We find out he is having a rough day. We think he's getting cheated on with his wife, but we don't know. That doesn't matter. So we go into his work and we find out he's laid off. No real reason, just he's old and they don't want to give him his retirement package. So he's laid off. He's down in the dumps and he has to make the long train ride home. But on the train, he's approached by a mysterious woman named Joanne who sets up this beautiful proposition for him. Find this mystery person and we will give you some money. What a perfect timing. You need some money? Here's a little sketchy thing to do. And this sets up the hour-long adventure on the train to find the mysterious person.
What about the next hour of the movie? This movie is like 2 hours long.
This movie is 1 hour long and it's beautiful.
Hold up. Are you claiming there's not a second hour to this movie?
Yeah, part 2 you don't watch. You stop and the movie's perfect.
Oh, is this the Commuter recut? That the special edition?
No, this is the
theatrical
release, and Matt watched the extended director's cut, and we think we should strike that section from the records.
Oh, it's one of those hour-long movies, right? Okay.
yeah. One of those big-time theatrical releases that only was an hour long. Sure.
It's one of those Dave Rector cuts. You know, we've all seen them.
You mean where he fell asleep halfway through?
That's usually how his descriptions of movies go, and then all the plot drops off because I was asleep. Okay, Matt, time for a rebuttal. What do you have to say to this characterization of the initial scene?
It's so essentially this sets off like this entirely convoluted, super contrived Rube Goldberg machine of a movie plot device that like he has to find this person.
Hold on. What does he have to do? He just has to find the person. How is that confusing?
Oh, but then that's just the start of it. Then he has to narrow down who's on the train and like who's a regular on the train, and then he has to pin it whoever. He's got this GPS tracker that they hide in his jacket, and all of this entire convoluted stuff.
So basically what you boil it down to is he has to find a person still, and he has to determine who it is on the train full of people.
Oh boy, but like this entire convoluted exercise hinges upon the idea that Liam Neeson rides this train every day, and therefore, just like everyone else who rides trains, is best friends with every single other person who rides that train every day. Have you ever, if you're taking a train or a bus to work, have you ever once even made eye contact on purpose with another human being? Let alone struck up a conversation with them and learned their life story?
The answer is no. That's how you get stabbed.
Exactly.
That is a lie. I enjoyed my commutes back when I was in my university days with all the same people.
Tell me about one of those people that you're best friends with now on the bus.
It was an old man. He went to the supermarket every morning on the same bus.
Oh yeah? What's his name?
I don't know his name, but we always said hi.
This is highly suspicious. Who goes to the grocery store every single day?
Old
people. This man not buying
that's their daily trip. They go to the store, they buy like 2 pieces or 2 items, and that's it. They come home.
Okay, actually, I can totally relate to that right now, so I believe that.
That's very familiar. As I get older, that becomes more and more believable. Yes.
As the global lockdown tightens, grocery store trips become my only escape to the outside world. So I feel that man's pain. But we still don't believe you, Dave.
My point is, though, if you're taking the same train for 10 years, and it's not a big train, it's not huge, you would start to see the regulars pretty clearly, and you see the outliers. Like, that's not a surprise. It's not.
I mean, this train, it looks like it has at least a couple hundred people on it, right? Like any of these big like commuter trains into a city, would you be best friends with like 100 people?
There's like literally only like 30 people.
Well, that's because this budget has a This movie has a budget that's only limited to so much. We can't show every single character in it.
They only had an hour to film. Like, it's not that big a film.
Oh man,
They couldn't make it through all the train cars in an hour's time, so they had to cut it down. Okay, Matt, anything else to add before we recess and get some questions from our juror?
So, okay, maybe I'm not, if I'm jumping out too far ahead of this, but we also find out that somehow that his family is in danger from this person that's given them this opportunity. So essentially, what is it? Is it the money? Is it the $100,000 that he could get, or is it that his family's in danger?
He finds out later.
His family with his with his adultering wife that is implied throughout the movie until this point, right?
Yeah, but that comes later. But this scene is like, put yourself in his shoes. You have 2 mortgages to pay, and someone comes up with this opportunity for you. Would you take $100,000 to find one person on a train?
Wouldn't you be
The movie brings you right in. The movie brings you into that spot. It's like, it throws you in. It's like, ooh, I'm in this zone. I'm in the zone. I'm in this movie now. Drags you right into it.
Yeah, and it really set up this fact that the family has been taken hostage potentially by constantly the wife and the husband pointing at their rings, being like, "Look, the ring, this ring I'm wearing." And then it's revealed later. Our other juror member who could not join us because he relies on faulty software, he asked if there was any
Inferior hardware as well.
Really
Overpriced.
Yeah.
Flashy, gaudy, worthless, really. Anyways, please continue.
Apple's going to come down on us with an iron fist. You guys know that.
Yeah, so our fellow juror who's a slave to branding, he asked if there's any setups and payoffs in this episode, and the ring would be one, right? Dave, wouldn't you think the ring is a setup and a payoff in this movie?
Yeah, I guess I'll give him that. It is.
No, that's a good thing for you. I'm trying to help you here.
I know, but we don't need to focus on that. The whole movie is an hour long in a train trying to find out who Prin is. Oh, no.
We have some...
We're getting yelled at by our fellow jury member.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an uninvited guest in the courtroom right now who's demanding to be heard. He asks, why would an agency rely so heavily on only one person to do this job? They're monitoring everything. Could they not also determine who this person is on their own in a more practical way than playing a game with so many variables? And of course, we're not going to answer that question because we do not take questions from outsiders. So we're going to move on.
I'm going to answer that anyways because we don't know there's this giant organization controlling everything at this point. All we know is this one person is trying to find another person, and they're offering $100,000 to do it.
Hold on a second. In this proposal, she also knows everything about Liam Neeson. She does know that he used to be a cop. And she implies that he didn't she know that he lost his job at this point? Like, essentially, we're setting it up that there's this like omniscient god of an organization that has
the thriller aspect. Aren't you brought in, Matt? Man, this is intense. We don't know what's going on. This is kind of thrillish.
I guess, but like then we realize that like if you think about it for a second, so they know basically every detail about Liam Neeson. They know his job.
2 pretty broad details.
They know he used to be a cop,
and he just
got given
fired.
That this is like Taken 8, that we know that he used to be a cop and he has a very particular set of skills. This is like, so if you think about it for a second, they know all this stuff about Liam Neeson's character. Then how come they don't know anything about the person they're trying to find?
Because they know stuff about him because of his buddy, Alex Murphy, Mr. RoboCop himself. He has the database of the FBI on his head,
right,
so he can give them that info.
Okay, so we're kind of giving away the ending here, but, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen The Commuter yet.
What are you talking about?
This is really, or excuse me, Taken 3. I don't even know the difference anymore. Alex Murphy is the name of RoboCop, which you'll know from listening to our early episode about RoboCop and RoboCop 2. And he is the ex-partner of Liam Neeson in this movie. But all we learn about him initially is at the bar that he finds out that Liam Neeson's laid off and that he does not like Sam Neill, a.k.a. Velociraptor Dinosaur Man. So our suspicion is mostly directed towards Sam Neill at this point, but if you have like eyes or have ever seen a movie before, you're kind of suspicious of Alex Murphy as well. So with that said, what is the proposition? Is it money or is it a threat against his family?
At this point, it's money. Will you do this task for a bunch of money when you're in a shitty position.
So if
And that's what gets you brought into the movie. That it takes the audience and it shoves you into that spot, and it's great. You're all into it. You're like, oh, what's going to happen? Who's pulling the strings? Where's this money coming from? Why is it in a toilet?
Okay.
why is it in a toilet? Oh yeah.
Right. So Liam Neeson takes the money
Takes the job.
and he agrees to the job. And what are his particular set of skills that make him so indispensable to this semi-omnipotent corporation -- cabal that's trying to find this Prin character?
So apparently he used to be a detective, and that's about it. And you just
that's not a skill set. What does he do in this movie that makes him in particular so useful?
He's rode the train multiple times. That's his skill set.
I would argue he's actually terrible at his job, and there's a reason he's not a detective anymore. Because he accuses no less than 5 different people of being Prin. And none of them are Prin until it's the very last person on the train who ends up being the person he's looking for.
Spoilers.
Oh, okay, well,
God.
God,
spoilers. Jesus, man.
Listen, what are we doing here?
Also, this movie never is resolved. It just ends about an hour in, and then we don't find any resolution to it.
We see that, and he finds Prin. That's the whole story. The whole thing is he got to find this lady or this person on a train within a time frame before he gets to the last stop. And he does. That's the
Okay, we're going in circles here.
Yeah.
We're going to recess for a moment. We're going to get a word from the juror. Tom, do you have any questions for our prosecution or defense here?
Do you think it's fair to say that Liam Neeson in every movie that he does now is just a guy with a specific set of skills? Is it safe to say that he has no character in this movie?
I would like the judge to move this question to the next set of next scene, please. This one fits the next scene.
The defense will answer the question.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That's all I needed.
Tom, no further questions?
I would also like to know, if they're motivating Liam Neeson's character with money, why are they threatening his family at the same time?
We don't know that yet. They're not threatening his family yet. It's when he figures out that she's related to that situation that they have to give him more motivation, right?
So what do they
Okay.
give him initially about this Prin character? What does he think this person, why are they looking for this
They
person?
don't give her much information. That's the thing. It's a mystery. You gotta solve it. What did they tell you about it?
So they basically just said this person is getting off at some specific stop, and we found out it's like essentially the last stop of the route. So
Yeah, but didn't they say that she stole something, that she had stolen goods? Because they say this woman has a bag with something stolen in it.
right, yes, yeah. So
Not
she has,
stolen, with something in it. They didn't say
No,
stolen.
something stolen. Yeah, they said stolen.
Can we pause this and go back and check?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to sit here for about 20
We
minutes of
got-
silence while
We have a perfect person for this job. The useless piece of crap juror member with Apple products.
Yeah, but there's no way the Apple computer is going to be able to play this movie.
Yeah, that's right. It can't stream things off of the internet. It's an Apple. What are you thinking?
All right, so my memory might be failing me in my old age, but I don't remember them say stolen objects.
Okay, well, until one of our court bailiffs can go and track down this information and send it to the court in a small letter, we're just going to assume that I'm right, but we'll come back to that question a bit later. So why don't we just go to the next scene? Let me check my court documents here. And scene 2, we'll have Matt please introduce the scene. And this one is, what do we know about these suspects?
what do we know about them? Well, essentially we know nothing about Liam Neeson except he used to be a detective and he has these particular set of skills which are revealed to be kind of nonsense and he's kind of crappy at it anyway. So, but anyway, we just assume that he's this badass secret agent dude, but he's just kind of pathetic in the end. He gets maced by a young girl, gets his ass kicked a few times by a few different people. And then, as I said, he fingers the wrong person to be Prin like 4 or 5 times.
Phrasing?
People
get fingered.
Yeah.
People get fingered in this movie.
That was in that second hour that Dave missed.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, Matt.
So then his job is it's this like convoluted, ridiculous plot where he has to identify all the people that are not regulars on this train and investigate who they are. Maybe they're this person. So then he goes from the start to the end of the train, like looking at all the people's ticket stubs that are wedged into the seat, seeing where they're getting off, and then oh, there's this Wall Street guy who's like this stereotypical, like talking on his Bluetooth headphone, being a douche, wearing a suit. Then a young girl that he like profiles with pink hair. It's like, oh, that must be the one too, because they have pink hair and that's counterculture, and
And she does turn out to be a thief, so his prejudice was completely justified.
She wasn't a thief. Her boyfriend was.
She's a liar too.
That's exactly what a thief would say.
Exactly.
He also then racially profiles an African American gentleman to be the bad guy too, because he's black.
Proven murder, by the way.
Did this black guy have a gun?
Later, because Liam Neeson told everyone on the train about this whole thing, when the person who like gave him this plan in the very first place said, "Don't tell anyone about this, or else you'll get it," and then he does.
All right, who else is on the train?
Who else is on the train? It's basically a bunch of like nothing nonsense characters. Like this movie tries to make it kind of like a Breakfast Club or a Speed or something like that, where you have this like motley crew of interesting people on the train, but I just don't care about any of them.
Well, we also have Mike Ehrmantraut on the train.
Oh yes. So that's here's another reason. You have Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad, who is criminally underused. He's in like 2 scenes. So I guess congratulations to him for, making a swift exit off this trash heap of a movie. So what happens with Mike is he's basically his old buddy, and Mike is reading the paper and Liam Neeson comes up to him. Once he realizes that his family is in danger, he writes this covert little note on it and says, "Call the police, my family's in danger." Then Mike gets off the train and apparently he's going to go call the police. And then essentially one of Vera Farmiga's goons pushes him in front of a bus. So, which leads me to believe that Vera Farmiga and their whole cabal have basically people stationed at every stop on this whole train route. And they have people in every car watching Liam Neeson's every move. But instead, they use all of this to just kind of terrorize Liam Neeson instead of finding the person that they're looking for in the first place. Dave, what do you have to say about this nonsense?
Okay, so this is, at first glance, a bunch of nonsense. But
when you dig a bit deeper,
if you dig a little deeper, you're going to find some fucking gems. And it's like Illuminati style. They're controlling everything from the shadows, and they themselves cannot be shown. So they're trying to get everyone else to do the dirty work for them so nothing can come back to them. It's very clever. Super, super high intelligence right there.
Is it? Is it, Dave?
It is. But mainly...
Oh, breaking news just in from our court reporter. Dave was right. They mentioned that there's a stolen item in the bag. Well, our court reporter is inept because that's what I said. This is the opposite of what Dave said, but good work anyway. God.
So
Sorry to interrupt you, Dave.
All right.
There was stolen something in the bag.
My mistake. My faulty memory. But back on this one. The actors in this film were great. Everyone on the train, they played their roles pretty good. You're never taken out of the moment. And could you find a better actor for Liam Neeson's role? They got the perfect person. A 60-year-old badass. Yeah, they got Liam to play Liam. It's perfect because that's his role. He's playing himself.
I mean, I guess, but he also gets his ass kicked a bunch of times. He's not really that
60
badass.
years old.
Yeah, so
and he's fought multiple people.
What good action hero doesn't get his ass kicked a little bit? It's no fun if they don't get beat up a bit.
Steven
This
Seagal.
show.
Next question.
This show is bringing in the real life. It's showing that anyone could be in this position, and it's what would you do in all these situations? I feel like they brought you in pretty good. Liam did great acting. He never was out of the moment. He was serious through everything. He was there to make a great hour-long film.
Well, that's the real question. It's a bit ironic that this late in his career, he's become the de facto action hero and
de facto 60-year-old action hero.
Right. I mean, it's really odd, but he does play the character well. It's believable. Matt, what do you think? How would you rate Liam Neeson's performance in this movie?
This is the one thing I'll concede. He's doing the best he can here. He's doing as much as he can with what little tripe they give him in this script and stuff to do. But when you think about it, all of it is just complete nonsense because, so we know from the initial preposition that the person he's looking for is getting off at the last stop of the train. So we spend an hour of him running from front to back of the train, getting maced, getting into fights with people, when he could have just waited until the last stop of the train when there's only like 4 people left and then just like figured out who it was then.
But that wouldn't be a thriller.
Couldn't they just bomb the train?
Couldn't they have just, and they also, well, I mean, spoilers, they also tried to do that. So why didn't they just bomb it in the first place?
Because they wanted it to be all smoke and mirrors. They wanted that mystery of who was going to do it from the shadows.
Who's they?
And we don't know. That's the mystery, Dylan. We never know. It's so
Stop
spooky.
raising your eyebrows at the judge.
But that's the point of this movie, though. Like, he is on the train trying to figure out who Prin is, and he gets little stangs up. Like he runs into the African American with the guitar case with the gun and stuff. Little tussle there.
The black guy did have a gun. One of the only black characters in this movie had a gun. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, but the conductor was black and he saved everybody, so.
Yeah. Also, he runs into the FBI agent, which he originally thinks is the bad person, Prin. And has a tussle there.
He fights with the FBI agent? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, he fights because he thinks that the FBI agent, he's also profiling this guy because he has a neck tattoo.
His police background, it makes so much sense.
Of course, only people with neck tattoos have to be bad guys. So he thinks that this dude is the person that he's looking for. So he fights with him. And then he plants this like GPS tracker that he got that was planted on him by this mysterious Illuminati cabal people. He plants this GPS tracker on the FBI agent, and then the FBI agent gets killed because of that. So Liam Neeson is essentially responsible for the death of an innocent person.
This is our hero? This is the hero of the movie?
Exactly.
He is the regular person, made a mistake. It happens.
I think we're starting to see why
It brings you into this movie more. You can see the real fuck up as a human.
When was the last time you killed somebody?
I know I might have done something in my passing that resulted in someone dying.
You're right. That is the same thing. You're right. He is an everyman.
I also want to bring up the Illuminati in this film. Like they're evil, quotation marks, but they also don't want to kill innocent people usually. Usually. They're trying to do everything to get their way without killing the general populace, right? That, I think, is their ultimate goal. That's why they don't
just like
blow the
some
train
kind of tolerant murder that you're describing here?
I believe that is the term. I think that might be the case, yes.
Cool.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So we have this racist ex-cop who is fired for racial profiling.
Well. We don't know he's racist. I think Matt was going on a limb there. I think Matt's a little bit of a
everything that's
stretch.
been told. He initially, in a train full of a bunch of white people, he accuses the only black guy, and then he accuses a guy with a neck tattoo, and next he accuses a punk-looking girl with pink hair. I think we know why he's not a cop anymore.
The first person he accused, I think, was the businessman. It was his first suspicion.
Who also I think is of South Asian descent. So basically, any visible minority in this movie.
Can we get the
must
court
be the
reporter
bad guy.
to weigh in on who was the first person accused? Thanks in advance. Sincerely, a concerned jury member.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is the acting was pretty damn good in this movie. It kept you in. The thrill of the ride was going. Never lost its tracks. It was always on track.
Oh,
For an hour. For 1 hour.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, it definitely does lose its tracks at one point. Quite
No.
literally, it
Never
falls off
does.
the tracks.
it literally
This movie-
falls off the track.
Go.
The ending. Oh, right, because it ends after an hour. I see. All will be clear. I know this is very confusing to the listening audience, but it's because Dave doesn't recognize the existence of the second hour of this movie, which we were all very shocked to find about an hour in when we toggled the scroll button and saw that there was, in fact, 1 hour left in a movie that we thought should be over in about 10 minutes.
I actually
Okay,
would have been
so-
happy if the movie ended there. That would have been better. Yeah.
It would have been fine.
He finds the girl. He puts the tracker in. Mission success. Now we move on to Mission Impossible
Yeah,
3.
let's talk about the derailment.
No. I have like a million questions. So, okay, first question. Dave, I think you have to answer this. What is the ultimatum that they pose to Liam Neeson? We'll give you money or we'll kill your family.
So they give him, they lead him into it with the money, and then when he finds out that they want to erase her instead of just taking back the evidence, he is a good guy, just a generally good guy, and refuses to kill her. So then they had to threaten him with his family's
But he's not a good guy. He took the money.
Yeah, that doesn't make you a bad person. Taking the money to find someone? That's like, basic PI work. He's just a PI right now.
Right. And based on the info that he initially has, he just thinks he's trying to locate someone who stole some goods. As a cop, though, this is highly suspect, and he should have been fucking suspicious right from the get-go.
He's not a cop, though, at this point.
Right. Well, we'll suspend, as an ex-cop, we'll suspend our disbelief on that and just be like, okay, he thinks naively that someone has some stolen goods and he's trying to find this person. Okay. So then he learns that they're, in fact, not trying to find stolen goods, but they're trying to kill this person because he finds out that the FBI agent who he planted the tracking device on, he finds him dead. So that's when they switch over to threatening his wife and child, right? Basically.
Yeah, because he failed to put the tracker on the right person, and now they need him to kill her instead of just following her.
Couldn't he move the tracking device to another person? Does it have to stay on one person? Why did they need to threaten his family? He's still doing the job.
No, he's refusing to. He didn't want to do it anymore.
Oh, wait, so hold on. For my own understanding here. He placed the tracker on the dude who then got killed and stuffed under the undercarriage of the train. And then he's like, oh,
yes,
I won't do it anymore. You can't make me. And then the people on the other end of the line are like, you're going to have to or else we're going to kill your wife and son. Is that how it went?
Yes, that's exactly how it went. And it was great.
Yeah, and then they were like, remember that ring that you kept pointing at like a psychopath in the beginning of the movie? Well, we got your wife's wedding ring. And he's like, oh, shit. So then he calls his partner to go and like check on his family, which will come back later. But what still bothers me at this point is this is like exactly what like QAnon accuses the Democrats of being, which is basically like fully omnipotent and capable of like mass corruption and shadow working of the entire global economy and society. But at the same time, completely incapable of doing anything for themselves, so they have to enlist like the most inept people on this train to do all their bidding for them.
They don't want any ties to themselves. They want to have 4 puppet masters to do all their bidding. Like it's a puppet master of a puppet master of a puppet master.
But the FBI already knows.
Brilliant. It's so high intelligence. You guys can't follow it.
I know that I can't follow it. But the FBI in this movie, they already knew about the shadow organization, right? Because they put a person on the train.
They just know that someone was trying to kill her. They didn't know who.
So why did they put that guy on the train with a neck tattoo and a gun?
To make sure she got there safely.
But they knew
they didn't know who she was still. The
FBI didn't even know. So what was he doing there?
He was trying to find her.
How?
All they know is that one passenger on this train was going to that stop, and no one knew who Prin was. Not the evil organization.
Except they knew what train she was on.
That's it. Because they set the destination. Come to this spot.
Who set the destination?
The FBI.
Who did? The FBI. So they were in contact with her.
Right. So what's clear, and this is brought up by our right. This is making no sense. But our court reporter brought this up. The Illuminati is willing to kill random people to make a point, right? And that's what they kept saying. Like, you shouldn't have done that. Now we're going to kill this person. Now we're going to kill this person. Wouldn't it have just been easier to kill? Wait till the end of the line and kill a few FBI agents if you have to.
No, you've
already killed one.
Wouldn't it be better to put someone on the train, find one person that no one knows who it looks like, and just kill that one person and blame it all on an ex-cop? And you'll have no traces to anyone. But they have to rely on
so many unknown variables. They have to rely on number one.
That's what makes it a mystery.
The African-American jazz musician. They have to rely on Liam Neeson. They have to rely... Who else knows about this freaking plot? There's like 4 people.
I think just the FBI, Liam, Joanne, and the African-American guy. Just 4 total.
What about because I don't know anything about this because I've never seen this movie. That's how we do these episodes. But what about that one character who's like, you need to stop right now? It's that like black chick, and she talks to him very briefly. She's like, they're everywhere. They can see everything.
Oh yeah, she knows too.
Yeah.
She gives. What does
but
she
she's
give
not
him?
on the train though.
You've got.
Therefore, you are wrong, Tom.
Well played, sir. Well played.
All right. I think we're never going to come to a satisfying resolution on this. So let's just jump to the third scene that, Dave, you do not recognize as existing.
The third scene, I believe, is when he finds her and they get her safely to the FBI, and the movie is over. It's a great ending.
Okay, interesting take. Matt, what actually happened?
So this is essentially when Dave kind of like dozed, like woke up at the very last scene, just as the credits were about to roll. Like, oh look, everyone's happy again.
He finished his loaded nachos and just passed out in a cheese-induced coma.
So what actually happens is essentially, as you alluded to earlier, it's kind of like, I guess it's like the Law and Order problem where you see like there's only one other name actor that shows up in any episode, and you know, well, that's definitely got to be the person who did it. So this essentially is what happened in this one. So you see Patrick Wilson, his old ex-partner, and Sam Neill at the beginning of the movie. You know, well, one of these two is going to be in on it. One of these two is going to be the mole that's, you know, the bad guy in some capacity. Although we don't know at the time, it's the Illuminati, shadow cabal, lizard people. But essentially, the last scene is like this cabal like gets frustrated and like somehow their immaculate plan of getting complete strangers to do all their bidding for them doesn't work out like they wanted it to.
Shocking.
So they just try to blow up the train anyway. So the train derails, and then this cop, Patrick Wilson, shows up, and then he does the old bad guy thing where he reveals his plan and all of his connections, and that he's the bad guy all along. And essentially, Liam Neeson beats him up, does some like ID tagging MacGuffin kind of thing to get him shot by the other police that are surveilling this hostage situation that they think is going on. And then the movie basically ends. Sam Neill says, well, you did a great job. We'll hire you to be a detective again, even though you've displayed that you are completely inept at being a detective. You're like a 65-year-old man.
Here's the very subtle thing that we all missed. It actually turns out Liam is undercover for the last 10 years to find this organization.
Oh my God.
That's why he doesn't get the job fully offered to him, because he already had it. They're on the trail from 10 years ago, and it all comes down to this.
Hold on a sec.
Honey,
Do you have a single shred of evidence to back any of that up?
What do you mean? What evidence?
Objection.
What evidence do I need?
Objection, Your Honor. This is not...
Pure
God damn
hearsay.
it, Michael. We have 2 mortgages out and you've gambled away our kids' college tuition. I'm undercover.
Yeah, it's all part of the scheme. He needs to give Illuminati a reason to select him as the person to get into the... He needs a way to get in that circle. Any little strand, like any little Pullman, and this is it. He needs to have no
10
job.
years. 10 years.
Hugely in debt, and that's how they get to him.
He gambled the life of his wife and child and his own career.
They're not even
everything.
his family, Tom.
Oh my
It's all
God.
set up.
He had a psychotic break the second he got fired and just invented this impossible crime scene to get his job back and save his family, when in reality, he just drinks himself to death in that bar immediately after.
Would that have legit been a great movie? Man, I would have liked that.
Our court reporter asks, what was Patrick Wilson's overall plan? I don't remember who Patrick Wilson was. Who's Patrick
He's
Wilson?
Detective Alex Murphy.
RoboCop.
Yes. Yeah, he's RoboCop.
You know, can I
Got it.
just say, as a jury member, it's very distressing to see someone just have the name of a beloved RoboCop character in the middle of a film. Ruins the entire experience for me. Anyways,
Really
back to the
does.
question.
Okay, what was Patrick Wilson's overall plan? He was planning on getting on the derailed train and killing all of the hostages and Liam Neeson in order to kill the target, which does seem to be... Again, this whole cabal has like 10 different contingency plans when they should have just relied on like contingency plan number 3, which is blow up the fucking train. Like, whatever.
Can we have
Derail
a
the train.
neutral judge here, please? I feel like you're taking sides already. This is not
Hey, the decision's not up to me. It's up to the impartial jurors. Our court reporter adds, the train was being monitored. Wouldn't the cops find it suspicious that the hostage negotiator did a poor job and just killed everyone? Dave, we'll give that question to you.
he wasn't trying to kill everyone. He was just trying to kill the one person. And he would have been able to spin that off as like, oh, we had a tussle in the train. And the gun went off magically. Accidentally killed the one person. You don't know.
If
Didn't
10
happen.
witnesses go, that cop murdered like 5 people, and they're gonna be like, no.
Man, those witnesses were all part of Illuminati.
What?
You can't say they weren't.
Yeah, he's got us there. We can't say they were.
I can't
That's
say.
true.
See, that's the
I'm
problem.
ready to render a
This
verdict.
movie, it's so deep and so wide that you can never say it can't because it may.
What?
There's always a possibility with this deep of a hidden organization, right?
Matt, how do you respond to you can't always say it may because you don't know if it isn't? Do you remember what you said? Because I got lost in
because it may.
Response.
I rest my case. I think. I don't know what's going on.
I think I just had an aneurysm. What's happening to me?
Does anyone else like smell blood? Is that
I think you guys all have an aneurysm because this part of the movie never happened. It ended when he found Prin. Mystery solved. Give him my money and get home to your wife and kids.
Can we talk very briefly about essentially the entirety of the movie is really about Liam Neeson not having a job and then getting a job at the end after terrorizing a train full of people willy-nilly for about an hour, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
It's a
basically
beautiful moral of a story.
because he's done such
Do
a
a whole
good
bunch of
job.
shit, and you'll get your job back.
He's just duly rewarded for murdering several people, derailing a train. This whole thing is.
Does he ever physically kill someone himself, or does everyone die?
He
jazz musician.
He throws the jazz musician out of the train, and that other dude he gets like run over by a train coming the other direction.
He had it coming.
He might have been okay though. We didn't see
we don't
him
know.
die.
We didn't see him
survive
die.
that. We did not see it.
With a movie that's this deep
Can't
and
say
this
can't.
wide,
It
you
may.
can't. It just may. Oh God. What if Mike Ehrmantraut is behind this whole thing? What if he didn't die earlier in the movie? You don't know.
I
could have been
honestly
fine.
thought he was going to be revealed as a conspirator. I really did.
I thought so too. I thought, oh, Mike from Breaking Bad is on here. This movie can't be that bad. He's good. No,
You know that-
They're
you know
just
the
going to
scene-
literally push him in front of a bus to get him out of the movie, right?
The scene. So to clarify, way back, the scene when Liam Neeson realizes that this shit is like serious. He tries to pass a secret message to Mike Ehrmantraut by just writing a little note on a newspaper that he was holding. I genuinely thought Mike Ehrmantraut was going to look at the note and be like, "You really shouldn't have done that. You should have taken the money." And then Liam Neeson would be like, "What? You fucking know that I'm not supposed to be a..." That's my impression. Also,
That's really good. That's a really good Liam Neeson
Yeah.
accent. Yeah.
but nope, he just turns out to be a completely innocent victim, which is he was a weird casting choice for that role. He fit the movie vibe, but like for what his ultimate role was a bit surprising.
So what you're saying is the people they chose to be actors in this film worked well.
Well, it's not up to me, it's up to the
Some
jury.
good acting right there. That's what I think the judge is saying there, gentlemen.
Yeah. What is the juror saying?
Yeah.
Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis.
We can't hear him
Baba
because
Booey,
his
Baba
Apple
Booey.
products failed him hard. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, people, buy PC. Matt, we're going to give you any chance for kind of final thoughts. I think we got Dave's philosophy of this movie, so we'll ask for your own.
Okay, so I guess we'll just move to my closing arguments. This movie is wholly unnecessary and just like tired, and it's essentially just like Taken 8 on a train, and we should have watched Taken 3 instead, but we're all too cheap to buy it on Google Play or whatever it was. This movie was primed for derailment right from the start.
Holy fuck.
I'm going to kill myself again.
It's the end of the line for this one. What else do I got here? Any other good ones?
How did the movie conduct itself?
It really had its signals crossed the entire time. As you can tell from how steamed all of the council was. Okay. That's okay. I'm done. Don't watch this movie. It sucks. The end.
All right. Thank you for your closing statements. And now for his argument, which is the opposite of it might not always seem to be like it is, but it do. Dave, your closing statements.
So this movie is just like a Taken movie. If you want some action, you want some thriller, you want some good acting, jump on the train. Take a ride. Just only stay for an hour, though.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Yeah. The jury's thrown up all over themselves. Okay, so now we go to our deliberation stage. We're going to start with the jury member who actually took the time and effort to show up to court today, which is really a sign of character and commitment. So, Tom, pass judgment on this movie, please.
Thank you. I would like to point out that it is really a mark of commitment and dedication to show up, to be here, to review these movies, especially in such a privileged role as juror. And I think that anyone that doesn't take it seriously is really just a poo-poo doo-doo head. But what's important to take away from the 2018 film Taken 3, Train Harder, what's really important here is that it sounds like a movie that needed to end after an hour, that definitely should have probably stopped very quickly, but then just kept going on and on and on and on. And the more things you add into it, the more ridiculous it becomes, until at the end where you're going, yeah, give him his job back, whatever. He should probably be going to jail for a long time for all the things that he did. But that doesn't seem to happen. Overall, I think that I will not be watching this movie in favor of watching Taken 1 again, because that's a great film.
Thank you for that verdict. And I couldn't agree more. The fact that you showed up is a real demonstration of your willingness to fulfill your civic duty.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
It will not be overlooked. I, too, will not be watching this movie. But I will try to watch Taken 3 throw RoboCop from the caboose. So we'll try and track that movie down as soon as possible. And so concludes yet another successful case in Grindhouse Courthouse. Tune in next week. Bye.